The email didn't ask for money. That's why David Harper trusted it. By the time he realized what it really was, he had already signed everything and handed over control of a house he fully owned. David and Linda Harper had been retired for 6 years when everything changed. They lived in a quiet neighborhood outside Sarasota, Florida. It was the kind of place where nothing urgent ever happened. The same neighbors, the same routines, the same calm mornings. Their home was fully paid off. No mortgage, no loans, nothing owed. It was the one thing in their lives that felt completely secure. David had worked in insurance for more than 30 years. He understood documents, processes, and risk. Linda had managed a dental office for years, handling records and finances with precision. They were careful people. They didn't rush decisions. They didn't trust things easily. That is exactly why what happened to them is hard to understand at first. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning. The subject line was simple: Property Record Update. Action required. It didn't look suspicious. There were no spelling mistakes, no strange wording, no urgency designed to scare them. It looked routine, almost boring. David almost ignored it, but one line made him stop. It mentioned that a request had been submitted to update ownership records tied to their property. That didn't make sense. They had not requested any changes. David opened the email and read it slowly. It explained that a request was currently under review and required verification from the property owner. There was a link to review the details. David hesitated for a moment, then clicked it. The page that opened looked official. It had the design of a government website. Clean layout, proper formatting, no ads, no distractions. Their home address was displayed correctly. Their full names were listed. And below that, there was a section labeled Ownership Transfer Request, in Review. David felt confused, but not afraid. The page didn't say the property had been transferred. It said someone had attempted to make a request. At the bottom of the page were two options: confirm this request or dispute this request. David called Linda over. They both stood there, reading the screen carefully. Linda asked, "What does this mean?" David replied, "It means someone tried something, but it hasn't gone through." He clicked Dispute this request. A form opened. It asked for basic information: name, address, phone number, email. Nothing unusual. Then it asked for identity verification. The explanation said this step was necessary to prevent unauthorized changes to property ownership. There was an option to upload a driver's license. David paused for a moment. Then he said, "This is actually good. It means they're checking." He uploaded his license. Everything still felt controlled, normal, and logical. That same afternoon, the phone rang. The caller ID showed a local Florida number. David answered. The man on the other end introduced himself as Mark Ellison from the county property office. His voice was calm and steady. He didn't rush, didn't pressure, didn't sound scripted. He referenced the exact request David had just seen online. He explained that someone had attempted to initiate a property transfer using incomplete documentation, but it had been flagged by the system. That was why David received the email. Everything lined up perfectly with what David had already seen. Mark did not ask for money. He did not ask for banking information. He simply said they needed to complete a final verification step to permanently block the request and secure their property. David felt reassured. It all made sense. Mark explained that because property ownership is considered a high-value asset, the final step required a secure digital notarization process. He sent another link. Again, the site looked legitimate. It appeared to be a professional document verification platform. There was even an option for a live video session. David and Linda joined the session. A woman appeared on screen. She introduced herself as a licensed notary. She asked David to confirm his identity. She asked a few simple questions. She explained that this process was required to officially block the fraudulent request. Everything felt normal. There was no pressure, no confusion, no warning signs. At the end of the session, she said, "Your property is now protected. No further action is required." David thanked her. The call ended. For the next few weeks, nothing happened.
Life went back to normal. Morning routines, quiet evenings, small conversations. The email and the call slowly faded from their minds. Then, 3 weeks later, a letter arrived. It was from a law firm. David opened it at the kitchen table while Linda watched. As he read, his expression changed. The letter stated that the property at their address had been legally transferred to a new owner. It also mentioned that the new owner would be requesting access to the property soon. David read the letter again, then again. "This isn't right," he said quietly. He called the number listed on the letter. A man answered and introduced himself as a real estate attorney. David explained everything: the email, the website, the call, the verification process. There was a pause on the line. Then the attorney said, "The transfer has already been recorded. It was signed, notarized, and filed." David felt something drop inside him. "That's not possible," he said. "We never sold the house." The attorney replied, "According to the documents, you did." The next morning, David went to the county office in person. He explained the situation again. This time, a clerk pulled up the official records. She turned the screen toward him. There it was, a completed deed transfer. Signed, notarized, filed. Everything looked legitimate, even the signature. David stared at it, trying to understand. Then he noticed the date. It matched the day of the video call, the verification session, the moment he believed he was protecting his home. He hadn't stopped the transfer. He had authorized it. The entire process had been designed from the beginning to lead him there. The email created concern, but not panic. The website confirmed the situation. The phone call built trust. The notary finalized the transfer. There was never a real threat to stop. The threat was the process itself. The property had already been sold again by the time David understood what had happened. A cash buyer had purchased it through what appeared to be a legitimate transaction. That buyer had documents, records, and legal ownership. David and Linda were still living in the house, but legally it was no longer theirs. The case moved into legal proceedings, but recovery was uncertain. The scammers had used real systems, real processes, and believable identities. Everything looked correct from the outside. The loss was not just financial, it was deeper than that. David had trusted systems his entire life: documents, verification, structure, process. Now, all of it felt uncertain. Linda stopped opening emails. David stopped answering unknown numbers. Every decision became slower, heavier. Not because they didn't understand risk, but because now risk looked exactly like something safe. The email didn't ask for money. It asked for trust. And that was enough to take everything.